I want to introduce you to something that some commentators call the impropriety bias, and try and move our discussion forward on a couple of things we've talked before. I'm sending with the video a link to the actual article so you can read the whole thing and to give credit where credit is due. The couple things I want to talk about are, number one, we've talked before about how I think with Me Too it has heightened the concern of senior level supervisory men to work in maybe isolated settings such as travel on the road with junior women because I'm scared I'm going to get accused of harassment. And of course, if you just let that go, it limits opportunities for women. It's bad for your organization. It may actually lead to liability if women are denied opportunities to advance and be promoted. And we've talked about strategizing for travel, not rejecting those concerns of senior men as unfounded, but meeting them where they are, talking to them about a travel situation, or to the women, that minimizes those concerns. Secondly, and more broadly, that's just an example of the general idea that I'm trying to promote here, which is let's go beyond the annual training. You have to come to HR, do an hour, hour and a half, what have you. Let's talk about ways to create dialogue within our organizations to have ongoing awareness of day-to-day situations where all of us can address things that may be harassment or may lead to harassment to minimize problems going forward, and just making that a constant awareness. The interesting thing about this impropriety bias article is that it's saying, listen, we tend to talk about this concern about, say, men and women traveling together or dining together in a couple of contexts. One is the one I just said, which is senior men saying, gosh, I'm fearful of doing this, that I might get accused of something. And secondly is there's been certain high-profile individuals who've talked about avoiding those situations. And in this article saying, don't make fun of those people, because that, which some people do, because that impulse is actually consistent with the majority of Americans, women and men. And you'll see in the article, which is not particularly long, you'll see the data on that. So a majority of Americans, it's not an overwhelming majority, start with the assumption that certain interactions between a male and a female who are not a couple might be inappropriate. So that's relevant to the harassment dialogue and other dialogues that are talked about in this article, because this is a situation where the concern does come up. I think it just underscores that you want to understand where people are coming from. It's not right or wrong, it's where they are, and then meet them there and help them solve individual problems so that we can minimize situations that may create liability, or even if they don't create liability, just create a less desirable workplace.